Xin chào, hello and welcome to ASEAN Today. I'm Hoai from Vietnam Television, VTV in Hanoi.
Selamat berjumpa lagi. I'm Raissa Chentami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta, and this is your weekly look at the dynamic Southeast Asia region. We begin in Malaysia, where a new prime minister was sworn in, capping a week of political turmoil amid a continuing health emergency. Ismail Sabri is Malaysia's third prime minister in just 3 years. He was sworn in on August 21st after receiving the support of 114 members of parliament. Sabri served in the cabinet of former Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin as defense minister and deputy prime minister. Muhyiddin resigned on August 16th after 17 months in power. He had lost majority support in parliament due to infighting within his ruling political coalition. The new PM comes from the political party that had ruled the country for more than 60 years.
Tensions remain high in Bangkok as police and protesters clashed again over the alleged mislanding of COVID-19 by the government. A group of mainly young demonstrators pelted police lines on August 15, throwing rocks, fireworks, and small explosives. More than 130 people were arrested in the latest round of protests that began in mid-July. Police fired tear gas, water cannon, and rubber bullets to disperse protesters gathered near the residence of Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha. Demonstrators called for his resignation. Thailand has seen infection rates surge while vaccination rates remain low. More on this later in the program.
Protests also continued in Myanmar more than half a year since the military seized power. Demonstrators turned out in cities across this country on August 8th to mark the 33rd anniversary of an uprising against military rule. The military has faced ongoing public opposition since it took power in early February, ousting the elected government and civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Nearly 6,000 people have been arrested since the coup, with more than 1,000 killed.
Here in Vietnam, COVID-19 pandemic situation has been complicated, with Ho Chi Minh City and Bình Dương are the country's two largest coronavirus hotspots.
Vietnam has documented more than 369,000 coronavirus cases, ranking 66 out of 222 countries and territories worldwide in infection numbers. Throughout 2020, the country was recognized as having one of the best COVID-19 responses in the world. Its combination of strict border closures, quarantine system, and timely lockdowns meant Vietnam did not see a single reported coronavirus-related death in the first 6 months of the pandemic. The number of COVID-19 deaths in Vietnam, however, has risen to more than 9,000 due to the Delta variant.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris arrived in Singapore on August 22nd, the start of a short mission in Southeast Asia. Harris spoke with Singapore President Halimah Yacob and held a bilateral meeting with Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong on August 23rd. She also visited Vietnam, becoming the first U.S. Vice President to visit the country. Her trip followed the late July visit of Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. Analysts say the visit appears to be a continuation of the Biden administration's efforts to compete with China for influence in the crucial Southeast Asia region of 660 million people.
The Thai baht was the best performing currency in Asia pre-pandemic, but it is now fallen steadily to become the worst hit in the region as tourism spending plummeted. ASEAN Today's Karina Tasya reports.
The baht has fallen by 10% against the dollar over the past 12 months. Analysts say the country's sluggish tourism sector is to blame for the weakness of the currency, as 15 to 20% of the country's national wealth came from that industry. But with borders now closed for 18 months because of the pandemic, that source of revenue has dried up. In just 1 year, Thailand's current account went from a surplus of $40 billion to more than $2 billion in red.
We need to control COVID-19 outbreak, and then we can open our country for foreign tourists. In export sector, we do quite well, but we need to be careful about the infected worker. In that will be a key factor for Thailand recovery. and also baht recovery.
The country launched its highly anticipated coronavirus pilot project titled Sandbox on July 1st to give live support to an industry that once attracted 40 million high-spending foreign visitors a year. The program allows vaccinated foreign tourists from low and medium-risk countries to visit without having to endure a 2-week quarantine.
For Phuket, Sandbox is representing hope. Before the Sandbox initiative, when we look to the eyes of the people, especially tourism business people, they feel hopeless. And when we talk about reopening Phuket once again, bring back tourism once again, we see eyes with hope. I think that's important for life.
The country could see 3 million foreign tourist arrivals this year under plans to waive quarantine for visitors vaccinated against COVID-19. The projection is in line with the central bank's estimate but far below the 6.5 million tourists projected by the government. Wider reopening plans were set for mid-October, but the target now looks out of reach with infections recently topping 20,000 daily. That's despite lockdowns that affect work, entertainment, and the all-important travel business. Karina Tasha for ASEAN Today.
More on ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
ASEAN celebrates its latest birthday. The song that leaders sang next.
Welcome to Foodiepedia. Every week in this program, I will introduce you to one of Indonesia's fabulous food items. Yummy. Beautiful. Now, I'm ready to cook. Let's go to the kitchen. It's done. Let's meet to eat.
Foodiepedia on the Indonesia channel.
I'm Trần Minh Ngân of VCT Net Việt in Hanoi.
I'm Thairat Thomya of Thailand's Thairat TV in Bangkok.
I'm Monica Samboret from the National Television of Cambodia in Phnom Penh.
I'm Raymond Go of Malaysia's TV3 in Kuala Lumpur.
I'm Glenda Chong of Singapore's Channel News Asia.
I'm Raissa Chentami of the Indonesia channel at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta.
This is your weekly look into the dynamic Southeast Asia region.
ASEAN Today on the Indonesia channel.
You're watching ASEAN Today. I'm Hoai Luong from Vietnam Television, VTV, Hanoi.
And I'm Raissa Chentami in Jakarta. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations celebrated its 54th birthday on August 8th. Held online due to the global pandemic, the observance focused on the year's theme, We Care, We Prepare, We Prosper.
COVID-19 has generated unprecedented challenges and exacerbated existing economic, social, and environmental vulnerabilities. Its devastating impact on our economy and society is a sobering reminder of how interwoven our lives are with others in the world. In this moment of reflection, we recognize those whose life and livelihoods have been and continue to be affected by the pandemic. We also owe our continued safety through the courageous and tireless efforts of the frontliners and public health workers as we look forward to a future where everyone is safe to meet each other warmly again. Taking the lessons from the pandemic, ASEAN has taken the opportunity to consolidate and become a more inclusive and resilient community. Compared to last year's, there is now more comprehensive public information about the virus. We also know better on how to protect, prevent, and contain the virus, and vaccination program has been rolled out in all ASEAN member states. However, there are also new challenges, particularly in the face of emerging of new variants. The fight against pandemic therefore remains a regional priority and a prerequisite to a robust recovery. To this end, the ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework and its implementation plan, adopted by the 37th ASEAN Summit last year, lays out ASEAN strategies through the virus recovery stages and beyond, focusing on sector and segments of society that are most affected by the pandemic. One such strategy is by accelerating inclusive digital transformation. The pace of digital technology adoption and the prevalence of digital solutions in the region have picked up during the pandemic. This positive trend is expected to carry on into the new normal. To ensure that this transformation is inclusive, however, ASEAN must amplify effort in narrowing the digital divide in infrastructures, regulation, and skills. Priorities should be given to ensuring the accessibility, affordability, and quality of digital connectivity and technology.
The road has not always been smooth for us. Whilst bumpy at times, the journey was always worth the ride. Along the way, we have encountered challenges that test our strength and courage. Yet ASEAN has persevered and emerged victorious. Make no mistake, this achievement does not mean that our road ahead will be easier. More difficult tests already await. Most of us are still working hard to contain the biggest health crisis of our time and reverse the damage it causes to our peoples and economies. During the pandemic, ASEAN must continue to innovate, developing new and better mechanisms to strengthen our region's resilience. Recent surges of cases remind us to maintain ASEAN's spirits of solidarity and cooperation, which have been on full display since the beginning of the pandemic. Indeed, the pandemic is hardly our only challenge. Regional peace and stability also demands our attention. Great power rivalries shows no sign of diminishing anytime soon and has the potential to show division among us. Rather than being a pawn of this new Cold War, ASEAN must be at the driving seat in shaping regional dynamics. We must promote principles and values enshrined in the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific region to guide our countries in their engagement with our region. This means embracing dialogue over conflict, strategic trust over trust deficit, and collaboration over competition. At the same time, we must demonstrate the virtue of ASEAN centrality in addressing common challenges. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, concerns remains on the situation in Myanmar. Inclusive dialogue is urgently needed to bring democracy back on its path. The will of the people of Myanmar should also be respected. Therefore, we urgently need visible progress in implementing the 5 points of consensus of ASEAN. The implementation of 5 points of consensus will address concerns and reinstill confidence of our people as well as the international community toward ASEAN.
As part of the celebration, the ASEAN Secretariat hosted ASEAN Online Sale Day to support businesses throughout the region. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
And we travel to Indonesia's northernmost province. That is where visitors can learn about the devastating 2004 tsunami up close.
I'm Caitlin Turner, and welcome to Yoga Bliss. Dropping your hands to the mat, just step it back and out and up to the sky. Up through your fingertips. Reach your right hand back behind your head. Let your hands separate forward and then start.
Yoga Bliss, only on the Indonesia Channel.
What's up, iPoppers? It's me, Ardina Glenda, and you are watching iPop Playlist.
Marilah berlari, hey, 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 hey. Semuanya perasaan, rasa cinta ku persembahkan untukmu di dalam lubuk hatiku.
iPop on the Indonesia Channel.
This is ASEAN Today.
And we are coming to you this week from Jakarta and Hanoi. The healthcare system in Thailand is under severe strain due to surging COVID-19 cases. As ASEAN Today's Fazun Atsim reports, volunteers are putting their own health on the line by providing help to patients who are unable to get hospital care.
Thailand passed the 1 million mark in coronavirus cases in mid-August. The surge in new cases resulted in many hospitals in the capital running out of bed space, and that's forcing people to isolate at home. As a result, volunteers have become an essential safety net, giving crucial support to many patients by providing oxygen, medicine, and a simple hand to hold.
ผมเชื่อว่าณวันนี้เนี่ยน่าจะมีผู้ติดเชื้อไม่ต่ำกว่าวันละ 50,000 คนนะครับส่วนผู้ป่วยที่ตรวจผ่านมาทาง antigen test เนี่ยก็ไม่สามารถรายงานผลเป็นรัฐบาลกลางได้ผู้ป่วยแต่ละวันที่ร้องเรียนผ่านเพจเราเนี่ยวันหนึ่งประมาณ200รายนะครับใน200รายเนี่ยมีผู้ป่วยที่มีผล RT-PCR เพียงแค่ 20% เท่านั้นนอกนั้น 80% เป็นผู้ป่วยที่ตรวจจาก antigen test ทั้งสิ้น
Calls for help just keep coming. asking Ekapob and his team to provide care to patients that desperately need assistance. In one case, a family of 5 were all infected with coronavirus. Their calls to government agencies went unanswered.
ท้อค่ะเพราะว่าและอีกอย่างคนที่บ้านเนี่ยไอจนแบบหนูแบบคือมันท้อแท้ไปหมดแล้วอ่ะในบ้านหลังเนี้ยเพราะว่าติดต่อไม่ได้คือสายไม่ว่างเพราะว่าเราไม่ต้องไปเตียงก็ได้เพราะว่าเราติดกันทางบ้านแล้วเราอยู่ที่บ้านเราก็ได้แต่ว่าอยากได้ยาเขาไม่มีการรักษาไม่มีการช่วยเหลือจนเป็นอย่างเงี้ยประชาชนจะอยู่ยังไงหนูอยากให้ปู่เป็นอีกคนหนึ่งฝากด้วยนะคะ
The country's vaccination drive has been slow and lagging behind other countries. So far, only 6% of the populations are fully protected.
วันนี้กำลังเริ่มต้นต่อไปจะหนักกว่านี้อีกหลายเท่านะครับพวกเราต้องเตรียมตัวและพวกเราก็ต้องทำใจยอมรับมัน
Due to low testing rates, a slow vaccine rollout and lockdown restrictions that critics say were too little too late, volunteers must man the front lines. They see the consequences daily and say they will do whatever it takes to fight the enemy virus. Fauzul Azim for ASEAN Today.
Here are several events on the ASEAN calendar. Heritage lovers await Thai Museum's Day on September 19th in Bangkok. SeaAsia 2021 will be held from September 21st to the 23rd in Singapore. And the Lapai Bantik Dance Festival will be held on September 30th in Masbate City in the Philippines. December 26, 2004 is a dark day for one part of Indonesia. That's when an unstoppable tsunami hit Aceh province, changing lives forever. ASEAN Today's Aisha Nadira reports on the destination where reminders are very real.
It was a disaster of unbelievable proportion. An earthquake in the Indian Ocean triggered a massive tsunami in 2004, killing 100,000 people in this part of Indonesia alone. The Aceh Tsunami Museum in Banda Aceh is a symbolic reminder of what happened. It also serves as a shelter in case of another emergency. It was completed in 2009, covering 2,500 square meters in a 4-story building. It sits on a hill where many residents ran to shelter on the day of the tsunami.
Sekarang kita berada di lantai 2 gedung Museum Tsunami Aceh, tepatnya di Jembatan Perdamaian. Di sini kita bisa melihat ada negara-negara luar yang mendorong, membantu masyarakat Aceh waktu saat kejadian gempa dan tsunami. Dan selain sebagai tempat objek wisata, Museum Tsunami bisa tempat riset dan mitigasi bencana tsunami. Yang paling antusias masyarakat Aceh itu bisa tempat evakuasi, tepatnya di lantai 4 gedung Museum Tsunami Aceh.
There are dark corridors with several turns and water falling down inside walls, simulating the disaster. There are also electrical earthquake and tsunami simulators, allowing visitors to experience a little of what it felt like that day, a day everyone hopes will never come again. Aisha Nadira for ASEAN Today.
We would like hearing from you throughout the ASEAN region and the world. Lee from Singapore posted these on our YouTube page. I am impressed with the comprehensive look at all that is happening in ASEAN, especially on how each country is handling COVID-19. Please keep watching, Lee. All of our episodes are posted on YouTube, so check us out if you cannot find us on your local TV channel. Then let us know what you are thinking or what you want to see on the program. Email us at ASEANTodayTV@gmail.com or post something on our Facebook page or tweet us at ASEAN Today TV. The 8th-time world boxing champion Manny Pacquiao took on his latest challenger in a high-stakes fight in the United States.
Manny Pacquiao obviously has the faster hands, and now he's
But the Filipino legend could not beat Cuban Yordenis Ugas on August 22nd, losing an anonymous decision. Analysts say this could have been his last fight. But political observers are projecting a possible presidential run next year, stepping up in weight class from his current senatorial position. And that is ASEAN Today for this week. I'm Hoai from Vietnam Television, Hanoi.
And I'm Raissa Chentami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta. Terima kasih. Please join us again next time for ASEAN Today.